Hi friends, it's officially time for me to start this vlog. Sorry this lighting is really bad. It's nighttime and the lights are not on in my living room, but I started and finished The Other People by C.J. Tudor today, and I gave it 4 stars. So my thoughts on this book officially are that it starts really slow, but it ties up really well together at the end. All of the twists are very interesting, and it's one of those thrillers that you can tell whoever wrote it, C.J. Tudor in this case, is a plotter. So they saw the finish line and then they made clues the whole time, so you could have picked it up. But the clues were well enough hidden where if you weren't expecting them, you would not have, if that makes sense, which I personally really appreciate. That's my favorite kind of mystery / thriller. But I just wanted to let you know that I started this vlog. This is my Buzzwordathon for June. The word is other. So I think in my TBR I said I was going to read Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang, and I'm still planning on reading that, but I did get a couple of other things to read in between. The Other People is one, and hopefully I will have either already told you my TBR for this vlog or I will tell you after this clip. But The Other People is a mystery thriller that came out in 2020, and it's about a man who, at the beginning of the book, his wife and daughter are murdered, but he doesn't believe that his daughter was killed. So he believes that his wife was murdered, but he thinks that his daughter is still out there somewhere. And I think his daughter was 4 or 5 at the time. And so he spent all this time looking for her. And you also get perspectives of this woman, Fran, who has a young daughter named Alice, and Alice has, narcolepsy. She just falls asleep randomly. And then you follow another woman named Katie. And Katie is the waitress at a truck stop, I think. It's called a service station, but it's in the UK, so I think it's essentially like a truck stop in the US. And she sees Gabe is the father of the kid who went missing or was killed. We don't know. And then at a certain point, Gabe starts talking to this guy who goes by the Samaritan, and he finds out about this secret society of other people, and you learn more about that. I don't want to say anything more than that because I don't want to give anything away, but I really enjoyed this book. It reminded me, actually, as you got into it and learned what certain twists were, it reminded me a lot of another book that I've read, but not in a I knew what was going to happen next, but the premise was very similar. But I also feel the premise in that other book is very straightforward. You know the whole time what you're getting into, whereas the premise of this book you did not know until it was revealed to you. So sorry if you can hear the music. Matt is starting his shower, which means that he's playing music. But that's it for now. I give that 4 stars, but I really do think on reread it could be a 5-star. I don't know if I'm going to reread it. I'd probably give it some time, but I just really enjoyed the way it went. So if you've read that book, let me know if you liked it. But that's it. Hopefully I will have another update for you here soon. Today's Juneteenth. I had work because apparently my workplace does not acknowledge Juneteenth as a holiday. I don't even think that's it. I think it's just one of those things. But anyways, I was at work today. So if you weren't at work, I'm very jealous of you. But happy Juneteenth to all who celebrate. I do. I just couldn't at work. So here we are. That's it. I'll let you know when I have another update soon. Good morning. It's Thursday and Murphy is chewing. I also went and got my hair cut, and they cut, at this angle they look like side bangs, but I don't really part my hair. I just sort of let it go where it wants. And so I washed it last night and it decided to part farther at the side than it normally does. So now I have side bangs. They're supposed to be those curtain bang things, but it is what it is. Anyways, hair aside, I am about to get ready because I have to film some things before I do some work. I'm working from home today, which means that I'm just sort of chilling, getting my last minute things done. Again, the dogs are eating, so I'm sorry if you can hear that. But I wanted to update this vlog and let you know that I'm reading a book called On the Other Side of Freedom, and it's an essay collection. I can't tell. I'm listening to it as an audiobook, which means that it's just written or being read by one guy. But for some reason, I thought this was an essay collection with multiple contributors of different essays, creative nonfiction type things about Ferguson and other sort of like the Black Lives Matter movement at its inception, and then sort of how it is now. I don't remember when this book came out, so it honestly might just be a look at Black Lives Matter at its conception, which was like a long time ago now. That's crazy. I said it'd been almost 10 years, like 8 or 9 years. It's been a long time because I think it started when I was in undergrad, like a freshman in college, which was 2014. And it's 2023. So that's pretty crazy. But anyways, all that to say, I'm not quite sure when this book came out, probably like 2018, 2019, but it honestly could be as recent as like 2022. I haven't looked. But I'm reading that right now. I'm listening to it. It's not a very long audiobook, but what I found is this author, I think the author is who is reading it. He speaks at a pace that like I have to put it below 2 times speed to really catch what he's saying. Because I guess he just talks kind of fast. And this is the first time in a long time that I have not been able to listen to an audiobook at least 2 times speed. So it's at like 1.6 right now. So that's interesting. But I am enjoying that. The other things I have to read for this vlog, I have The Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang, which is a short story collection that I need to start. And then I also have another audiobook that I got called The Other Einstein, which I believe is a historical fiction book, and it's probably about Einstein's wife or sister. I'm not entirely sure, but it is about a woman who I'm assuming is also last name Einstein, and about her life. To be honest with you, historical fiction I've mentioned before is not really my thing, but there are some that I really enjoy, and I do remember really liking that book about Mozart's sister. I know that was more like magical realism than anything else, because it was about them as children. What was that book called? I can't remember, but it's about Mozart and his sister. If I remember, I'll pop it up here, or I'll have it in the description. But I liked that book. I didn't love that book, but I also don't really love music in books, especially when it's described and stuff. It doesn't connect with me. So that's why I didn't like that book as much as I think other people, or that's why I didn't love that book as much as I think other people loved that book. But I did really think it was like an interesting take, and I liked learning about a character that I like knew. Like I know who Mozart is, but I didn't really know anything about him. Same goes for Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. I loved that book. And it's more about like the people in Shakespeare's life than it is about Shakespeare. It's primarily about his wife, Anne, which is really interesting to read. Yeah, so all of that to say, those are the books that I have left for this vlog, and then I'll let you know if I read other things. There are technically other books that I'm supposed to be reading this month that were on my TBR that I'm not going to get to. The Line of Beauty by Alan Hollinghurst is one of them. Alan Hollinghurst? I think I said Alling or something. I'm not going to get to that book, I don't think. Primarily because it's a chunker, and also because I just don't like, physically reading is just not it for me right now. So it's a lot to ask of myself to even like pick up this short story collection and try to read a couple of those, but I am going to try to do that. I'm about to film my July TBR, and hopefully I can be a little more successful with it than I was with my June TBR, but yeah, so I have to go get ready, and then I'm going to film, and then I have some work to do, and then we'll see where the day takes us. Hello, it's a few hours later, and I am about to make lunch, but I finished On the Other Side of Freedom. It's fine. I'm probably not going to rate it because typically I'm trying not to rate nonfiction, specifically like memoir style nonfiction, if I don't like want to give it 4 or 5 stars. I just feel like it's unfair to rate someone's life experiences a 3-star, but for me, this book was just fine. The writing was fine. The stories that were told were fine. It's something, if you've read any memoirs of anybody who protested in Black Lives Matter, or read books about the modern like take on police brutality and reform, I don't necessarily think that this book is going to add a ton for you. I feel the same about this type of memoir now that I used to feel about White House memoirs, and I kind of still do feel about White House memoirs, which is like if you've read one, you've read a lot, you'll read a lot of the same things if you read multiple of them. So I don't think it's like unimportant to read or to write, because at any point it could shed light on something that someone else has never heard before. Nothing in this book was things that I hadn't heard before. I did think he had an interesting perspective on like community organization behind protesting, and he definitely had a more like nuanced view than a lot of the books that I've read. Like you can tell that he is very intentional in the way that he was trying to lead protests, whereas other ones that I've read of this style of like memoir or essay or whatever tend to be people who kind of just like get involved as a grassroots participant, because there's value to all of these stories. I'm just saying, for me personally, this one did not bring anything new to the table. So I might consider just like tabling memoirs like this for a while, since I just feel like I'm getting not really a lot out of this style at this point. Anyways, that's that. I'm gonna start The Other Einstein now, because that's the last audiobook that I have, and then I actually have to read Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang, and I'm hoping that fiction will be a nice reprieve. That's the other thing. The other book that I'm reading is nonfiction, South to America by Imani Perry. I'm reading that right now. That's a nonfiction book. And the last audiobook I listened to before this was a nonfiction as well. So I think I'm just like a little nonfictioned out as well. But I am going to start The Other Einstein. I will let you know what it's about when I know. And I'm going to make lunch. I'm making sweet potato fries to go with. I have these like grain bowls that I've been eating that I like meal prepped on Sunday. But I bought sweet potatoes to make sweet potato fries last night with dinner because I made smash burger tacos. So good, by the way. But I forgot that I had the sweet potatoes to make the fries, and they take like an hour. And so I was like, there's not really time to do that now. So, because I'd already started making I'd made the first smash burger when I realized. So anyways, if you haven't made the smash burger tacos, so good. I used Beyond Meat. So good. So good. Fantastic. But yes, I'm going to make lunch, and I will let you know when I have an update on The Other Einstein. Hello, it's Sunday. I dyed my hair today. I've been wanting to go strawberry blonde, so I hope you can tell that it is definitely redder than it was last time. I went and got it professionally done, but she just did like a strawberry gloss, and it washed out pretty much right away. So I went and got some stuff from Sally's and did it myself. It's not the best job, but I like it. I think it's cute. I think it kept a little bit of the blonde hue, or enough of the blonde hue. I'll link the, if I can remember, I'll link the article that I used that gave me like a formula to use. And she uses a like darker blonde. I used 8G from Wella Color, and then I used 8RG, which is like a reddish blonde. So 8G is like a light golden blonde, and then RG is like a reddish, I think it's called titanium red or something like that. But I mixed them 2-to-1 and then used some developer and just put that all over my head. And that's what I did for my hair. But I'm saying that because in the article that I used, she used a darker blonde as well to like deepen her color, but I wanted to keep mine pretty light. So the reason I'm doing this update is because I finished The Other Einstein by Marie Benedict, and I really enjoyed it. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I thought it was kind of slow at parts, to be honest with you, and I wasn't super into the way it sort of ended. It is based on the life of Albert Einstein's first wife, so that's why it's called The Other Einstein. And if you don't know anything about her, there is some chatter, as there always is with brilliant people, that she was a physicist, and so some people have hypothesized that she might have contributed or even written Einstein's theory of relativity that later won the Nobel Prize. And the book sort of goes into why people think that, kind of, not really. It explains why people think that without being like, this is why people think this, because it's written from her perspective. So I don't know. I really enjoyed the author's note at the end of that book. I really liked that book. Again, like I said, it was kind of slow at some parts, and I didn't really love the ending, but because it's based on a real thing, I don't know how much you're allowed to complain about that. But anyways, those are my thoughts on that book. I've also started Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang, and I read the first one in here, which is Babel, which is about the Tower of Babel, and like it's in a world where people are building the Tower of Babel. It's pretty interesting. It sort of discusses the whole thing. Obviously, I don't want to give up too much information about it because it is a short story, but I really, really liked it. I don't normally rate short stories, but if I were to rate this one, I'd probably give it 4 stars. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna hopefully read some more of this. My audiobook for another book that has other in the title came in, my hold for it came in today. What book is that? Let me check. 1 second. So that book is Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things, which I think is like a YA contemporary romance type thing. And I don't know that much about it, but it was on my TBR. I just literally searched by the word other and found a bunch of stuff that came up for this Buzzwordathon specifically. So I wasn't planning on reading that because I had to put a hold in and I didn't know when it would come in. And I have another audiobook that I'm listening to right now called I Have Some Questions for You by Rebecca Mackay, which is pretty good. I'm not reading it for this vlog, so I won't go too much in depth with that. I'll just save that for my wrap up, but I'm almost finished with that. So depending on when I finish it, again, today is I don't know what day it is, like the 24th maybe, but it's still June. And so I'm hopefully going to finish this at least. And then I have some other books from my June TBR that I wanted to finish, but I don't think I have an audiobook for any of those. So if I pick up that other audiobook, I will let you know how I feel about that. But yeah, this is what I have left so far. And I will let you know when I have more updates. Hi, quick update. I'm working from home again. I've been doing that a lot. I don't know what it is. But I was just reviewing the Supreme Court's decision. What is it called? I haven't finished reading it yet. It is Students for Fair Admissions, Inc. versus President and Fellows of Harvard College, where basically the U.S. has gotten rid of affirmative action, which I feel is a giant setback for minority students, because if your parents can't afford the best ACT class and to put you into 100 extracurriculars, how are you going to compete against rich white kids? Especially because legacy students are still allowed to be considered and given extra points because their parents went to college, which I feel is pretty much the reverse of affirmative action. But do your own research, I guess. It's none of my business what you think. Anyways, I wanted to let you know that I have decided to listen to Vampires, Hearts, and Other Dead Things, and frankly, I think it's boring. I'm 70% of the way through. The premise is this girl's dad has cancer. She just graduated high school, I guess, about to go to college. She's going to art school in the fall, but she hasn't been able to really do her art thing since her dad got diagnosed. He has pancreatic cancer, which is a bad sign. And they are obsessed with vampires. And I don't know if this is set in our world or not. I cannot tell if it's actually paranormal or not, which is one of my problems with it. But essentially, 10 years before this, a guy went on TV and said that he was a vampire, and then he disappeared, but he was in New Orleans. So she and her dad have always planned to go to New Orleans for her graduation present. Now her dad is very sick. He is dying. He's in hospice. So she goes, because she's trying to find a vampire in New Orleans, to turn her dad into a vampire so he can live forever. People seem to like this book. I personally don't. I kind of want to DNF it, but also I want to see what happens at the end. But essentially there's this other subplot where she has this childhood friend, Henry, who they agreed that they weren't going to date each other because they didn't want to ruin their friendship. But then she stopped being friends with him because he started dating someone else, which I think is silly, but none of my business again. But they haven't spoken in a year, and he agrees to go with her to New Orleans. I don't remember why she asks him to, but he does. And then she meets this guy named Nicholas, who she thinks is a vampire, and Nicholas basically is sending her on a scavenger hunt throughout New Orleans. And each time she finds a thing, she gets another clue. And I have a feeling that at the end we're going to find out that Nicholas isn't actually a vampire because vampires don't exist, unless vampires do exist in this world. But I don't know. The vibes are off for some reason. So I don't really care about it, but I'll let you know how it goes. There's also a weird love triangle with her and Nicholas, who I feel she described as being an older gentleman. And sure, maybe she's 18, but I still she reads very young. I don't know. So we'll see. But there's a love triangle between her and Henry and her and Nicholas. I don't know. So, I'll let you know when I have more updates on this. I have not read any more of the short stories. It is the 29th, so I have today and tomorrow to finish that short story collection I'm working on. Hopefully I will get some of that done tonight, but we'll see. I wanted to get it done last night. I wanted to get it done the night before, and I just haven't been physically reading. So I'll let you know when I have another update. The dogs say hello, and I will talk to you soon. Hello. It's Saturday, July 1st, so technically I'm failing at this, but I am almost finished with Stories of Your Life and Others. I have 3 more short stories to read, so I've read 5 of them. And the 3 more that I have, it seems to be about 74 more pages. So, sorry. I wanted to let you know sort of how I'm feeling about this. So, as I expected, I really liked Story of Your Life, which is what the movie Arrival is based on. It's a great movie if you haven't seen it. It's basically about like a first contact with aliens, and these aliens speak a different language. So the like US government sets up pairs of a linguist and a physicist to try to figure out how to communicate with these aliens, and then also figure out what like physics they know and how they were able to like get to Earth and all of that stuff. And it has a lot of really interesting things. It plays with time in a really interesting way, which I don't want to spoil the movie or the short story, but it is really good. It's my favorite one that I've read so far. The other ones that I've read, I really liked the first one, Tower of Babylon. It's called Tower of Babylon. I thought it was Tower of Babel for some reason, but it is about like Babel and building a stairway to heaven. That one's really interesting. Understand was okay. It's about this guy who is in a coma, and then they've designed this new protein that they inject into his back that replaces dead brain cells, and it replaces them with cells that are like of heightened intelligence. So people with more dead cells that have them replaced end up like really, really smart. So it's this guy who's like really, really smart, and then sort of like how that works out for him, like smart to the point of like knowledge that we can't even comprehend. That one was okay. I liked it, but I did think it was like, I don't know. I feel like it would have benefited from having more time, because it's only like a, 30-page thing, 40 pages. A lot of these are like around the 40 to 50 page mark. And then Division by Zero, I really didn't like. That was the other one that I read. That one's about 20 pages, and it's about this mathematician who discovers a proof that basically disproves all of mathematics, and then it kind of drives her insane. I am not a big math person, so I didn't really care about it. I didn't really care about either of the characters or their relationship with each other, because it's like a husband and wife. For me, that one didn't really work. And then I just finished 72 Letters, which is almost like steampunky, it seems like, and it's set in England just after the Industrial Revolution, but they've also invented automatons. I don't know what that word is, like robots, basically. And they have this thing called nomenclature, which is basically the science that like everything has a proper name, and if you can give something its proper name, it will like come to life. Is sort of the premise and how they came up with these automatons. Why is that a hard word for me to say? I don't know. But in it, this guy is like, they're trying to figure out a way to like save humanity, because they've discovered essentially that humans are going to go extinct within 5 generations because they're going to just be sterile for some reason. It was kind of confusing, and also kind of gross, because it's like they study sperm, and that's how they determined this. But they think that if they can give the proper name for humans, then they can like artificially reproduce. And so that's sort of what it's about. Again, that one kind of ended just like abruptly, and for me, it wasn't that great. So what I'm discovering is I am a person who can like short stories a lot, but a lot of these are kind of just like 3 stars. I would honestly say Division by Zero is the one I've liked the least. I probably would have given that like 2.5 stars. And then Tower of Babylon, Understand, probably would have gotten 4 stars for me. 72 Letters, 3 stars, and Story of Your Life, 5 stars, because I like it a lot. So I think this overall is like a 3 or 4 star collection, but I'm going to finish it and let you know. Again, it is Saturday, July 1st, so I did not finish this in June like I was supposed to, but yeah, either way, this video will still hopefully go up tomorrow, so you will be seeing it on July 2nd. And yeah, I will let you know when I have more updates. Very exciting news. I have finished Stories of Your Life and Others, and I really loved the last couple of stories. So there's one that's like super short that at the back, he has like explanations, or it's called story notes for each of the stories, which I did not read before the last update, but I did read this time. But he has a short one that's like only like 4 pages that was originally published in a like Nature and Science magazine about like the future of scientific journals, which was kind of just like fun. It was just a clever little like short, I think is what they're called. But the last 2, one of them is called Hell is the Absence of God, and it's about this guy whose wife dies when an angel like comes down from heaven and does a miracle by like exploding glass in a cafe that the wife was in, and so she bleeds to death. And it's just about like a world where angels are just like this expression of power, and so you can also see souls leave the body, and you can see whether they go to heaven or hell. And he knows that his wife goes to heaven because she's very devout. People saw her soul leave her body and go up to heaven. And he does not believe, or he's not devout. I guess they all believe in God because God is like exemplified and like showing them himself in this way. But he's not devout, so he thinks he's going to go to hell, but it's about him trying to figure out how he can get into heaven so he can see his wife again. Which was just a really interesting story. I really liked the way that it went. I don't know if that makes sense, but I really, really enjoyed that one. And then I also read Liking What You See, a documentary, which is, as it sounds, it's literally written like it would be different interviews spliced together of different people. And it's in this world where there's this thing called Callie, Caliagnosia or something. I'm not very good at like pronouncing words, but the shortened version is Callie, and it's basically this thing you can get in your brain to where you can't recognize beauty in faces. So it makes every face not look the same, but like not be recognizable as more beautiful or more ugly than any other. So it like will blur features that are unattractive, and it's like, I don't know, it's kind of adopted as this like utopia of sorts. And this girl who I would class as the main character, what is her name? Tamara. She was raised with Callie, so she's always had it, and she goes to college, and her college is trying to do a vote among the student body to see if it has to be required or not. And when she turns 18, she gets hers removed so she can finally see like beauty for the first time, and it just plays with that idea. And it was really, really interesting. I really, really liked that one as well. So overall, I really enjoyed this short story collection, and I would highly recommend it. Especially, there's a couple of duds, I would say, or not duds, but like ones that I felt like meh about. But honestly, I'm probably gonna give this 4 stars, because it had 3 that I would consider like 5 stars. Those being The Absence of Hell. No. Story of Your Life. Hell is the Absence of God. And Liking What You See, a documentary. I would give 5 stars to all of those. I would give 4 stars to Tower of Babel, Understand, and The Evolution of Human Science. I would give 3 stars to 72 Letters, and probably like 2 stars to Division by Zero, because I did not like that one very much. But like, this was pretty successful. What is all of that added up? So it's 15... plus 4 would be 19, plus 4 would be 23, plus 4 would be 27, plus 3 would be 30, plus 2 would be 32, divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 32 divided by 8, 8, 16, 24. Is that 4? Is 4 times 8 32? Don't tell me. Hold on. Yeah, I think that's right. So, 4 stars. It comes out as a perfect 4-star. Incredible. So yes, I really enjoyed this, and that was the last thing that I had to read for this vlog. So to catch you up, I read The Other Einstein, which I gave 3 stars, I think, maybe 4 stars. I read Stories of Your Life and Others, which I'm going to give 4 stars. What else did I read? I read Vampire's Hearts and Other Dead Things, which I think I gave 2 stars. I did not enjoy. Is that it? Hold on. Okay. Sorry. I also read On the Other Side of Freedom, which I decided not to rate. That was that nonfiction that I read. And then I read The Other People by C.J. Tudor, which I gave 4 stars. So again, I had a really successful time with this. I read quite a few things that I was not necessarily planning on reading, but I got a bunch in for this vlog, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more from me. I am planning on doing a Buzzwordathon vlog for July as well, and I will see you in another video very, very soon. Bye! Also, look how sweet. We got him, and then we got him. Look how sweet he is. I love my dogs. Okay, bye.